JKB back with another episode. Today on the show I'm reviewing Outbuddies DX for the PlayStation 4. Thank you to the developer for the review copy. Outbuddies DX is a Metroidvania action platformer with some puzzles here and there, tons of shooting and tons of platforming. This literally is Metroid. And that's not a negative thing here. At the very beginning of the game, you're introduced to Nikolay Bernstein. This is the character you will be playing as. The game actually takes place 3,600 feet under the sea in a fortress of the old gods. The game is heavily inspired by the original Metroid on the NES. You have 5 different areas that you will be going in and out of as you discover the map and open it up. The one unique thing about this game is the buddy mechanic. You'll notice on screen that I have a little buddy that floats around with me as I go through the level. You're actually able to take control of that with the right analog stick, and you can do certain things like scan the area or even pick up objects and move them around. You can also do a few other things which I won't give away. And on top of it, you can do co-op where someone plays as that character and you play as the main character. As for the gameplay mechanics and how it feels to control your character, if you've played Super Metroid, then you will know what this feels like. You're able to turn into a little ball and slide into areas, which will open up into bigger areas. You're able to also use a bomb mechanism the same way you could do in Metroid. And it shoots you up in the air the same way it did in Metroid. You have your simple blaster and you have missiles. I mean, I could get into all of it, but you get the point here. It's Metroid. For me, the most important part of a game of this nature would probably be the map and how it's laid out and how the platforming works. And of course, the shooting and the enemy types. Those all come together to create a decent experience here. While I prefer the original Metroid over this is really a cool little homage to it. One cool feature I saw was the screen actually getting closer to the action without losing any resolution. So it's quite cool to get a little bit closer to your character, and the atmosphere kind of changes a bit. It makes you feel closer to the action. The map itself is gigantic with, like I said, 5 different zones that you'll get into. There's some swimming in here, so if you're not a fan of swimming, there's quite a bit of it because, well, this is like 3,600 feet under the water. So you're going to, of course, deal with, water here and there. As for the boss battles, the first one was quite difficult until I realized there was one spot in the room I could stand under and it would basically protect me from most of his attacks, and that's how I took him out. Once I figured that out, it was super easy to get through that boss. As for the different enemy types you'll come across just on the main map itself and not the boss battles, you'll come across everything that was in Metroid, essentially. Flying enemies and enemies that will crawl on the platforms, so that makes it much harder to time your jumps. I should also point out you have the ability to run, and this makes your jumps a lot further, so if you're not running, then you won't jump as far. Overall, if you're looking for a Metroidvania game of this nature, then you'll get some enjoyment out of it. I can't say it's the best Metroidvania game I've ever played. I saw some of the other scores as I went into this because the game has actually been out for quite some time on the Nintendo Switch and a bunch of other platforms, but I should point out it is now available on basically everything, including the PlayStation 4 version, of course, which is what I'm reviewing. I'm going to give the game a 7 out of 10 based on the fact that this was made by basically, again, one person, and I've done a couple of those games on the show in the past couple of months where it was made by essentially one person in an office. This, on the other hand, was made by one person over 7,000 hours. I mean, I'm going to have a stroke even thinking about that. And on top of it, he designed it all. It's all just one person. So in saying that, based on the platforming, which is great in this game, I had a lot of fun doing the exploring and some of the puzzles, and I like the idea of having this buddy that follows you around where you can scan the environment, figure out, the weaknesses of enemies and move objects around to get higher into the levels. It's well thought out. It's a very well thought out game. At no point did I feel sort of lost. I think at points I got to the end of a certain area and thought, I missed something, and eventually you figure it out, and that's kind of part of why you play these games, not to just whip through the map and, be done with it. It's one of those games where there's Easter eggs, puzzles, The combat is probably the weakest part of the game where, yeah, it's okay, but you have more fun jumping around. I would actually recommend this to the people that want to show their daughter or their son a Metroidvania game. Yeah, you can play, of course, Metroid on the original NES, but, a lot of people are going to be running around with the Switch in their hand or the PlayStation 4 version, which obviously is going to run on the PS5. It's a good starting point for your kids as well. And for the adults, yeah, you've kind of seen this all and you've kind of done it before, and there's nothing going to really blow your mind. But it's a cheap game and it's overall fun. I had a good time with it. Please subscribe to my channel and hit the bell notification button. This way, when I upload a new video, you'll be notified. Thank you for watching, and I'll see you in the next episode of JKB.